Welcome to Purpose Your Mom Show, episode 517. Today, we're doing a mid-year goal audit. And we're here, June, halfway through the year. I feel like every year I say the same thing. Man, did this year go fast. But it's important to pause, reflect, make some goals, and audit what is there. Midpoint of the year is a nice natural checkpoint. 6 months into the year, yes. But for a lot of us, we're also transitioning that summer feel, and it's kind of taking us into what's going to happen next. When you do a midway audit, you also avoid drifting through without any intention. It can be so easy to put a million goals on your plate. Halfway through the year, you're like, I haven't even started these. Oh, well, I guess I just forget that I said I was going to do them. No, 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 friend. What we're going to do is lean into it. This is all about resetting and not judging. What we're going to do is put show notes over at a purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 517. So if you want to go through this again slowly, say you're in the car, things like that, so that you can kind of sit, pause me, reflect. You can watch it on YouTube if that's easier for you, and write as you go. All right. First up, as always with my system and my process, is reflection. Reflection matters so much because if you're always going 100 miles an hour and you never stop to reflect, then you're never going to be able to move forward. You need to identify what's been happening for me, what's really going on, and what did I like and not like about the way this first half of the year went. This will allow you to audit, pivot, and adjust. So I want you to look at the goals you set for yourself at the beginning of the year. And you might be thinking, Cara, I didn't set any goals. As I know I hear this a lot in my students. It's okay. What did you think the first half of the year was going to look like? Okay. If you didn't have any physical goals written down, what do you think the first half of the year is going to look like? Think about those goals. Okay. I want you to write them down, look at them. All right. And then categorize them a little bit. What did I actually accomplish? And I want accomplished to not just be what did I finish, but what did I move forward on? What did I do a little bit more of? Okay. How did I move the needle towards any of it? Maybe you didn't complete the goal, but did you move it from 0 to 1%? Okay. What worked well? And I want you to ask yourself what worked well and what did I do to have that get to that place? All right. And what didn't go as planned and why? The why is really important because it's not just, "Oh, I failed. It's this didn't work for me because, and that's okay. I want you to focus on different areas of your life. So if you're writing it down, you might want to go through and be like, all right, what happened with my work life stuff? What happened with my personal life? What happened with my health and my habits, my finances, my marriage, my family? Really think through your categories and ask yourself, did I set any goals? If I did, what went well and what didn't go as planned? This is also a really important part because it's going to have you pause and be like, wait, I didn't even set goals in this area. I just let this part of my year float through undecided and unintentionally. Well, it's probably why you didn't achieve it, right? So step one in your mid-year audit, reflect. Step two is to celebrate. We do not do this enough, moms. We do not give ourselves enough credit for all the things that we do. I want you to identify wins, both big and small. Celebrate the progress. I already talked about this when I said, accomplished. I want you to look at that differently, but like, what did you do? Did you get more put on your plate and you were still able to handle this? Were you establishing a new routine? This first half of the year, I didn't really add a lot of new onto my plate. It was about maintenance. I told myself that I had so many things going on, some new shifts, some things happening. So this first half of the year is how can I maintain? What is my maintenance of it all? Not just did I check it off, but yes, if you accomplish something, if you said, I'm going to run a 5K and I ran a 5K, celebrate that dang 5K. But so you said you were going to run a 5K and you didn't finish the 5K, but you did show up for 15 training runs or you started walking, right? What is that for you? I want you to acknowledge the growth that you've personally had to remind yourself that you have done something. Again, this is the 1% concept I talk about, how you can move things forward just a small amount. Maybe your area of growth is a skill you gained. Maybe you learned how to do something new or you learned how to do something more intentionally or better. What was the lesson that you're taking away, the lesson that you learned? This will help you build motivation and confidence moving forward. Okay, maybe I didn't have the first half of 2026 that I hoped, but I did do these things and I'm going to celebrate it. Okay, so you reflect, you celebrate, then you're going to just get honest. This is that honest conversation with yourself about what's not working and why. This is important. And I want you to come out of this with a positive mindset, not let me go beat myself up. This is my time to self criticize. I'm just going to judge myself for all the places I failed. That's not the goal of this. So if you struggle with this piece, I want you to take a step back and look at it from the outside. Look at it like perhaps you're doing this for someone else. Would you talk to them the way that you're talking to yourself when you're checking out what's not working? Would you give them the same feedback, right? Be kind to yourself when you do it. Remember, the goal and the intent is not to self criticize, but is just to be honest so that you can make appropriate plans moving forward. So, did you have any goals that you abandoned? We call them blessed and released over here, right? And why? I had a couple goals. So I'm gonna give you an example. I really wanted to get my cleaning routine like down this year. It's always been something that I struggled with, and I was like ready to go. I started January, fine. And then I had so many things going on that I blessed and released slash abandoned this goal in about March. And I said, you know what? I'm just gonna work on getting my maintenance done of like the dishes get run and the laundry gets done and like I'll vacuum when I notice I need to. And the other types of cleaning that's like a little bit deeper, a little bit more spring cleany type tasks, I'm going to put them on hold until June. So I put them on hold because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get to the deeper cleaning and I was just starting to feel shame around the goal. So I said to myself, this summer, I have more time that I can dedicate 30 minutes to an hour if I needed to do some deep cleaning. I'm going to allow it be then. I'm not going to beat myself up over it. I acknowledge, you know what? And in that, good job, Cara, for recognizing your season and your capacity. Did you make expectations for yourself that were perhaps unrealistic or misaligned? Were you, I'm going to work out X amount of hours and not thinking about what the transition was going to be like for you? We just got a puppy the other day and we're transitioning. He's perfect though, so I mean, knock on wood. But he doesn't bark a lot. But let's say we got this new puppy. He's so cute. He's in right there, and he barked a lot, and my sleep was different. Right? It was a transition for me. Okay. The other thing that like I had to notice with my own goals is I am in a transition period with getting some part time jobs, which meant that my hours were split. So I did make a couple unrealistic expectations for myself. My son started travel baseball this year. I didn't really know what we were getting into until we got started. Well, now that I know if he chooses to do it next year, I can make better goals. Okay. And what patterns or obstacles do you notice that kept coming up for you? If you're saying, I didn't hit 4 goals because I was not getting enough sleep and I was tired. That's something to think about. Or I didn't have enough help around the house. Something to think about. Or I noticed that I'm procrastinating instead of taking action. Something to think about. Step 3 in this process of your audit is simply to get honest. What isn't working? Once you have done that, now we're going to make a new plan. Okay. We're going to revisit and revise goals. It's not about quitting. It's not, oh, I have to start over from scratch. It's what works. So I want you to look back at that list of goals you made at the beginning of the year and decide which ones still matter and which ones do not. It is okay if you put something on your list seasonally and then decided that it isn't the year for that. It's okay to bless and release. Okay. So I want you to eliminate any goals that you're like, this still doesn't fit. And I also want you to adjust the goals. So if you noticed the exercise example, you said you were going to work out X amount of times and this is how long you're going to do it, and you noticed it wasn't happening. What if you adjust that goal? What if instead of saying, I'm going to work out 6 days a week, you said, my new goal for this next half of the year is if I can get 3 workouts in? You go to that minimal viable option. I want you to adjust them to a place where you can start to see success and not live in this I'm always failing mindset. And then I want you to set clear new priorities that are realistic for you for the next 6 months and to close out the year. I want you to think, if I'm going to end the year, which of these things would I have liked to cross off? Yes, I would have loved to have run that 5K, but will I still feel just as proud of myself if I look back and realize I showed up to run 15 times? I would have loved to save $5,000, but will I be just as, proud of myself still if I save $1,000? I want you to really think through and ask yourself, what priorities do I want to focus on based on what I know happened this first half of the year and what I know is already probably going to happen the second half? And then it's time to evaluate your systems. There's a reason some of your goals didn't work. And part of it is going to be because your systems aren't setting you up for success. Okay. Success comes from systems, not just your goals. You can make as many goals as you want. You can have the pretty vision boards, but if you don't have a system to make them happen, they're not going to happen. So I want you to think through, What routines did I have this year that supported my progress? Working out before my kids go to school supports my progress. I am 100% more likely to get in an exercise before my kids go to school than not. If I do not get it in the morning, it is rare it's going to happen. So I've created a system for myself of what my morning looks like. Where are there places that you're perhaps being inconsistent? And we've talked about this often of what consistency actually looks like. Are there places where you're struggling to show up the amount of times you said you're going to show up? Why? What tweaks can you make? And is there anything that I can simply simplify, delegate, or outsource? If there is anything that you can make easier, be it by I'm going to make a dinner meal plan and we're just going to eat the same foods. I saw this thing the other day on some internet place, but they were saying that what they do is they basically eat the same thing. Like if they do a quarter meal plan and like the third of every month, for example, is barbecue chicken sliders, right? No matter what, the third of every month makes it so much easier, makes it a lot simpler. So you're not having to make as many decisions. Are there places you can simplify your systems to make things easier for you? Once you've gone ahead and done a realistic audit, you've adjusted your goals, you've identified places you can make things easier, it's time to refocus your time and your energy. I want you to ask yourself, am I spending my time on what actually matters? Or am I getting caught in busy work? Am I getting caught in running errands 18 times a day, right? I want you to identify for the first half of the year, what were the things that distracted you? Were there other people's problems? Was it a specific time of day? Or what are your quote low value activities? The things that you're doing that like do not need to happen right now. Or as we call them delegateds, the Q3s do not need to happen by you. I want you to look at your plan for the second half of the year and reallocate your energy to high impact activities, the things that are going to move you towards your goals. Not, I need to go declutter my spice cabinet for the seventh time. Not, I need to sit and procrastinate over and over and over until something's perfect. What is the high impact you can have? And then make your plan for the next half of the year. What are your key priorities? 2 to 4. Don't have to have a goal in every area, okay? We've done a whole series that you can go back and listen to on how do you break down the different types of goals. Break your goals into actionable steps to know what you're going to do. This is what I'm going to do in June. This is what I'm going to do in July. This is what I'm going to do in August. And then I want you to pre-plan out checkpoints or monthly reviews for yourself. It doesn't have to be like the 30th of every month. We do a monthly planning in the Purpose Driven Mom Club. So it's kind of built into our system. But if you don't have that, I want you to go through and I want you to identify, hey, on the 17th of every month, this is what I'm going to do. Put it as a date in your calendar because what happens is if you're only checking in on your goals 6 months in or at the end of the year, then too many goals are going to go past you without having any action taken. I also want you to do the final step, which is to do a little mindset reset. Let's like clean out the voices in our head that tell us we're not doing good enough. Yes, you probably have goals on your list, just like I do, that you didn't get done, that you feel guilty about, that you wish you had done. Okay, acknowledge those feelings and say, I'm proud of you for acknowledging this. I have gone through and checked these goals out. I'm now focusing on forward momentum and treat these next 6 months of the year as an absolute fresh start for you. A mid-year audit like the one that we just walked through, and again, go back, to it over and over if you need. It's not about perfection. It's about alignment and adjustment. These small tweaks and adjustments you can make now could change where the trajectory of the rest of the year is. The year is not over. You could still make progress on all of these goals. Your consistency matters more than the fact that you haven't had the most intensity from January to now. I want you to do this activity today. You can come to Instagram, tag me at a purpose driven mom. I'd love to hear your takeaways. Otherwise, all of your show notes are going to be at a purpose driven mom.com/podcast 517.